working. So let's go. It's Monday after all. Hello, ballers and bro-fists to you all, because it is Monday and we are back in action. We're back in live. The time for slacking is over. It's over. It's done with. The slack time is finished with. It's kaputski. Oh, I'm so red. I'm so Zoidberg. It's retarded. I am absolutely Zoidberg, but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to let that slide. We're going to be okay with it, right? We're going to be okay because we're back in action. First of all, some announcement stuff. Going to be awesome. No, not really. It's not going to be good. Firstly, I apologize to the many of you who were there on Saturday when we had to cut the web show short. I really am sorry about that. There was not much I can do. As I told you last week, there's stuff going on. Emma's not been particularly well, and she's having a baby, and she got quite poorly during the web show. We had to go to the hospital. Ensue sitting at hospital till 4 a.m. on a Saturday. Glorious. She's fine. For now. But she's fine, she's got the all clear, and she's back. So hopefully she's going to be reasonably okay, but it has been playing on my mind. She's been up and down, not very well, blah, 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 blah. One of those things, unfortunately, one of those things. As such, I did make, and thank you so many of you who tuned in on Sunday to the Convert to Raid podcast, where I was the special guest. Kind of weird for me to be a special guest anywhere, but I was a special guest, and apparently you guys absolutely loved it. You also loved, for the several who joined the Convert to Raid stream, to watch that. And the other 700 of you who decided instead to watch our stream set up by Ghost, where he trolled me by putting Nicolas Cage pictures all over me and apparently doing other stuff while he wore bright, shiny sunglasses and so on and so forth. So thank you so much for both sides of the coin, for one of you actually tuning in for the show, and for the many more of you who decided to just watch Ghost troll me. Maybe we can make some money on that, right? Should we just do a Ghost stream? I will get Ghost to sit here all day and just do that, because you guys seem to love it. You guys seem to love it all day, every day. He didn't say a word. He didn't even speak. Just did that in the background. So yeah, thank you for that. I had a great show. I think they release it on a Wednesday, I believe. If you like listening to podcasts on your mobile phone while you're going to your commute, going to work, you're in your car, or you're sitting on a train, or whatever it is that you do to get to where you need to be during the week, download it on the iTunes, because of course every single one of you has an iPhone, because Apple fucking are the devil, and we all roll iPhones. In before Samsung Galaxy. But as such, getting back to it, Emma's not well, up and down. It's kind of taking its toll on me a little bit. There's certain things I have to drop. I just don't have enough time. There's not enough time in the day. I need longer times. First thing that has to go, I just cannot justify it anymore, is streaming after the daily. I cannot justify it anymore. It's horrible because it's so much fucking fun, and I get to play a variety of games. But I will be streaming when I can. But what I can't do is I can't commit to it. I just can't do it. I can't guarantee and do it. I've had to miss more and more. I have to miss it. And it's weird and annoying because there were more of you, which is cool, more of you tuned in for that than the daily. You tuned in to do the streaming games thing. And it's a lot of fun. It's so much fun. I just can't justify the time anymore to do that. As such, moving on from that, is I will have to move the daily back to 5 p.m. from next week. I mean, I can get through this week, I'm pretty sure. It's a tough time. No bullshit. It's a tough time. So I'll have to move the daily back to 5 p.m. So if you're used to it being at 4 p.m., and I know many more of you could tune in because it was at 4 p.m. GMT, I'm talking London time. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, but it's a problem for me right now. Okay, it's a difficult time. It is. It's a difficult time. So other than that, it will move to 5 p.m. from Monday. So I'll keep it the same this week. We should be okay. But other than that, it will move to 5 p.m. and I have to drop the streaming. It's the first thing that's got to go because I can't justify the time. I just can't justify it. Onwards for today's daily, though. Forgetting all that scrubbery for now. That's scrubbery. Onwards with today's daily. Flexi rating. I kind of didn't talk about it, which was hard, right? This is what I do. This is what I do. I could have made a whole big video on it, which would have been kind of something I should have done. I should have spoke about it at the web show. I kind of planned to do that in part 3, but we didn't get a part 3. I talked about it a little bit in conversation with the guys on the Convert to Raid podcast yesterday. One thing about Flexi Raid, which has actually been a benefit of this, is that more information is coming out each and every day. Interestingly enough, Blizzard's not quite sure how it's going to work. Kind of strange they're releasing this information to us as and when they're still figuring out how this process is going to work. They're not quite sure exactly what's going to happen. Are we going to have tiered loot in terms of a certain amount of people means extra loot? Well, we're kind of going to stick with this personal loot thing because that's sort of fairer. But surely there is something in the background deciding how much loot you get. Otherwise, everybody could get an item. That's unlikely to happen, right? Or you can have too few items. If it worked on the case of it's a standard amount of loot and we took 24 people and you still get the same 4 items that you would get if you took 12, then that's not going to work either because it doesn't scale up despite how much more fun it is. The only carrot is the loot. So it's still fleshing out the idea of how it's going to work. So some of the things we might talk about today could change. Some of them could be completely dropped. Some of them completely new could come into it. But we'll go based on the knowledge we know because this system, in its basic form, is coming to the game. What is the system designed for? Who is it designed for? That's the big question. Who is this for? That's where you have to start when a new type of raiding is coming in. Interestingly enough, this is coming in 5.4 casuals. Casuals is such a horrific term. I don't know what casuals means. Casuals seems to encompass everybody that isn't you. Right? Casual seems to indicate you're either casual or what, hardcore. Nobody ever seems to describe themselves as normal, for whatever that means. But casual seems to encompass everybody who isn't you and isn't in a heroic guild that's killed Raden. They're the hardcore nerds, right? They're in their own special little snowflake world. They're the hardcore. Everybody else who isn't me is a casual piece of shit. And that encompasses bads, PvPers, people who are new to the game. Casuals is such a robust, ridiculous term that means very little these days, I find. Casual to me just means somebody who logs in as and when they fucking please. It doesn't matter how good they are, how bad they are. Not that you asked me, what do I think of casuals, but for casual to me it's like, oh, I have a couple of hours, I'm going to play some WoW. I would say I play Halo 2 casually. Because I log in and play it whenever I can. But World of Warcraft doesn't work that way in terms of casuals. This is like the huge band-aid for me. Of course, we're talking opinion of me. This is like the huge band-aid. This is like the first aid can in Resident Evil. This is the green herb. This is the casting resurrect on the people who've been really let down by the current system. The people who have been failed by the current system. And those are the people who don't know any better. And it's not their fault. And it isn't. It's never going to be their fault, right? You can't blame a lot of new players for not being amazing at the game. How can you do that? How can you blame them for it? You can't do that, right? It's just not their fault. It's not their fault. We proved that in our video last week. It's not their fault. They don't know any better. It's not their fault. Ghostcrawl didn't make any bones about it either. No more sugarcoating it. This is for people who can't kill things like Horidon 10-man normal. That is the intended audience. Take that in for a moment. Now, some of you may be those guys. For me, that is terrifying. Terrifying. Really terrifying. We need a whole raid tier to correct this problem. That is a huge... I mean, to come out and say, this is for guys, because there are lots of you. Loads of people. Millions, probably. Of people who can't cope with normal mode in terms of Throne of Thunder. They just can't handle it. They can't get it down. And, of course, there are many people varying. Horidon was the example that Ghostcrawler gave. But there are people who got past Horidon but then couldn't do Council and so on and so forth. There's all these variations of people who are struggling with the normal mode of the game. Typically considered the easiest mode. That's the easy one. That's like the basics of getting to raid. That's how you start raiding. That's not the next level of raiding, but now it is. Because a lot of people consider LFR the start of raiding, right? That's the issue. That's the problem we're trying to band-aid over. People have this impression in their mind that LFR is the start of raiding. Which it is not. It isn't. It's not. It's not what it's there for. It never was designed that way. But people believe that, and as such, when you go from this perceived element of starting to raid LFR, and then you jump to normal mode, it's like, oh my god, what the fuck is that thing? That's a giant, scary ass motherfucking boss. This boss never hurt me in the past. What's going on? Clearly my healers suck. My tank is bullshit. And that's the problem we're trying to band-aid over, and that's where Flexi Raid comes into it. This whole nonsense that LFR is raiding because I am in a raid, and I'm getting loots, and there is a raid boss. Hell, all the elements are there to consider it a raid, but it was never designed that way. But do you blame people for taking the easiest path? No, it's not their fault. It's not their fault, but now we have people who have never learned to play the class. Never learned, never needed to. But there's something out there waiting for them, and it's lurking, and it's really good. It's really, really good. It's playing with other people, talking to them. Amazing, right? All these concepts that we take for granted. That's what you should think of. You shouldn't be smug about this, and you should not look down on these players. Because that is really an asshole thing to do, is to look at players who have either joined the game and have fallen into the LFR, 10-man circle jerks, scrub guild invites, all that stuff. People who have fell into that trap, looking down on them and being smug over them, boasting and laughing at them. That is a really arsehole thing to do, because it isn't their fucking fault, right? It's not their fault. That is the system that was presented to them. That was what was given to them. That is why they played the game. And it's cool that we're now doing something about it. Blizzard's actually has obviously recognized that this is a problem. The first iteration, now I say iteration because I got a feeling Flexi Raid is going to develop really nicely. I have a good feeling that Flexi Raid is going to develop really nicely. Hopefully dependent on a couple of things, such as not making it too hard. We have to take into account there will be a lot of people in there who aren't very good, but also difficult enough so they have to learn something about their class. Something that makes them go, maybe I should watch a video, maybe I should read a guide, maybe I should look at another player who plays something I do. Something that makes them think, what is this dungeon journal sorcery? What do these spells mean? I died to Blur of Death. What the hell is Blur of Death? We have to be very careful that we don't start making Flexi Raid back into LFR, which is a risk. It's a huge risk. If Flexi Raid launches and it's filled very quickly, very, very quickly, it's just like smashed to pieces with all the casuals, I guess we could say, by all these people who don't know any better, and it's really hard, they won't give a fuck. First impressions are everything. It's very important that the 5.4 Flexi Raid isn't too hard. It really is. And therefore is rewarding. Now, let's talk about the loot for the Flexi Raid. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, people are going to be asking about the loot, especially the newer players and all that kind of stuff. They're giving it different loot. Now, this is interesting, is that LFR is going to be... Eventually, I have this feeling it's going to be gutted of items to the point where it's really almost not worth running. And I think that's a good place for LFR to be, is that, oh, do you want to do LFR? I don't have a purpose to do LFR. And for the people who want to see the raid content because they do this working and they can't attend raids or whatever they do, that's okay. They can go and do their LFR and do that thing. But it's not going to be worthwhile for anybody else to do LFR. If you're doing Flexi Raid, normal mode, heroic, whatever it might be, it's not going to be worth your time. So we're hoping to see the loot probably gutted, dropped way low. I'd like to see that. Maybe still say purple. Probably still stay purple, but with an item level of about 5, right? You get my idea. It would be not worthwhile. Maybe even it's transmoggable style of loot, few stats on it, nothing special. But it's nice for the transmoggers and all that kind of stuff, because let's face it, a lot of the guys who are the casually style of play love transmogging and stuff like that. Each to their own. I don't care. If you want to transmog your character, I don't give a shit. I have no problem with that. What we do want to see is this is the first step. It's a stepping stone. It's a good one as well. You should be excited about this, even if it doesn't affect you. Normal raiders are like, why the fuck would I want a Flexi Raid? I have a normal raid and the loot's less. Why would I want to do that? It's not for you. It's for people who can't do normal mode. It's not for you. It's not for heroic raiders. People are like, oh, the heroic raiders will be running every tier of raiding. Blizzard doesn't particularly care what the heroic raiders are going to do. That's just facts. You know why? Because they will do whatever it takes They can make a system that is so convoluted and difficult that nobody would really ever want to do it, and the Heroic Raiders will fucking do it because they need every advantage they can get in their minds to compete in the race. They will do it. So it doesn't matter what the Heroic Raiders are doing. Nobody cares. Few things about this that have bothered me is how many fucking people want less than 10-man raiding. Wow. And Blizzard seems to have already bent their fucking mind on this. Yesterday we had a post from Blizzard that said we can't really go less than 10-man because raid mechanics don't even work. They don't even work if we go less than 10. It doesn't make any sense. We can't make a raid boss that requires less than 10 really because the mechanics just don't work. We can't factor or balance anything around there being like 2/3 of the possible classes in the game being in your raid. How can we balance around that? How can we design an encounter that way? But so many people keep asking this question. Why? Why do you want less than 10? What game are you playing? I will never understand that. And if you're one of the guys who really wants that, I just do not understand where the fuck that kind of mentality comes from. I don't get it. Less than 10-man raids, so baffling to me. I cannot imagine what joy, what fun, or worthwhile experience could be gained from such an endeavour. I can't imagine what you would get from that, other than to basically be doing LFR with your friends. I don't get that entirely. But for more than 10, it's not designed around this. 25-man normal raiders aren't really going to want to do Flexi raid when 25-man normal raids exist. Certainly 25 heroic guilds aren't going to say we're a couple of men light, let's go and do Flexi raid. No, not in the fucking least. Flexi raid is good first step. Now, and it's a good time to do it as well. I was kind of surprised they would do a whole new raid tier right in the middle of the expansion. Like, we're just coming towards the latter end. Whole new style of raiding just being crammed in. But this is the preparation for the next expansion, right? Okay, it makes sense. We're going to throw this system in now in Mists of Pandaria. See how it works out. Work out the kinks. See what people are really still struggling with. Do people even care? Their target audience is all of you guys who are stuck in the shit, super bad 10-man guilds run by complete dickheads who have no interest in you at all. This is who it's designed for. It's designed to suck your ass out of that environment like a fucking vacuum cleaner. They are giving you a rope to say, get the fuck out of there. This is what you can do. Meet some people. Make some friends. They're out there. They exist on your server. They're ready. They're waiting. Every 10-man guild out there that is terrible, and I know they exist. This isn't offensive. You guys sucked into it so often. New players just drawn into these. Oh, we'll start raiding soon. Or, yeah, we have 10 people online. 8 of them are priests. Oh, sorry. 8 of them are death knights. We'll go raiding, right? Oh, it's not worked. We've wiped. This is retarded. You're all the worst players in the universe. Let's leave. Those kind of environments, they're all out there. There's so many 10-man guilds out there that with just Jinrock kills, which is the explanation, right? Is why Horadon's too hard. Jinrock we can kill, can't do anything else. All those kind of guilds, this is your rope, your ladder. This is the way you're going to get out, is to start meeting other people, making some friends. There will be people asking for more players for Flexi Raid. They're saying it's not designed for pugs. Kind of is. That's kind of a lie, a little bit. They're hoping, and I almost guarantee this, they are absolutely hoping that those players meet a couple of people and start moving out of those ranks and start moving up a little bit and meeting other people, and then they can form a 10-man that works. Eventually, because this scales up all the way to 25, by the time you're at 20, 23 people, you're essentially doing normal mode 25. This is the bridge. This is the bridge that is hopefully over the next few tiers. This isn't going to happen overnight. Baby steps. Got to be the baby steps, right? Got to take our time. Is the bridge that's going to take people from super shit, diabolically bad 10-man guilds all the way to 25-man normal mode guilds. This is what it's the bridge that's going to carry them there, in my opinion. This is the bridge that's going to carry them there. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's the start. Like Heroic Scenarios were, that was a start in building the community back. This is the nice bridge that people can start walking across. So I wanted to talk on a couple of things. And by the way, whoever tweeted this message, I fucking love you so much. You say it's a backup plan, but LFR's presence has undermined so many aspects of the game. Teams, community, and the concept of a journey. You people! Who are you? Who are you? You wonderful person. There's no concept of a journey in LFR. Where is it? It's Gurky Boy. That journey. I fucking love it. I absolutely love that. There's a lot of back and forth, but it's kind of awkward. They're all very vague answers regarding the flexible rating because they're not ultimately sure how it's going to work. I was surprised to see it's going to launch with the brand new raid. I think that was something that they had to acquiesce to, right? They couldn't really do it for the LFR. They couldn't really just... Because LFR can't go back a tier. You can't say that this... Oh, well, we're not releasing the Garrosh raid LFR. We'll do it next time. They can't do that. So they can't make Flexi raid be the older stuff. So it has to be the new stuff. Which is a little bit of a shame. Maybe they could work that into the next expansion. I would really, really like to see that. But the community feedback on this has been mostly positive, but mixed. Very mixed. And this is the kind of people it's targeted at. For these people who are just kind of lost. They're just kind of like, I don't know what to do. People who want less than 10 man. People who are a little bit scared about... Fucking hammering, man. The people who are a little bit scared about normal mode. To fear normal mode is incorrect. Okay, I'm going to put it out there for you right now. If you're one of the guys who watch this video and you're kind of afraid of normal mode being too hard, it's not your fault, but that is an incorrect way to be thinking about things. It is. Normal mode is the entry level. This is where you start playing, right? This is where you start enjoying a raid. And enjoying the raid is the big thing. Raids are awesome. They are. They're really, really good. And you've been let down, totally let down by not having that experience. And you consider LFR raiding, and that's a shame. That's a shame. But this is where we're going to go. This is where we're going to go. Oh, Mr. Ghost. I want to see some feedback on this. We've got about 7 minutes left. I've seen loads of comments. Probably going to get disrupted by Ghosty. What's your initial playback? I don't want to get too much into it, but my initial thoughts is this is really positive. Really positive. It's a good first step. It's not going to solve everything overnight, but it's a long-term plan. It's a nice stepping stone. But lots and lots of people need to be ready for this. You think people will just stay in Flexi raiding? Maybe. Maybe. People just saying, oh, this is where I'm going to raid now. Especially as it's going to drop different loot. This is important. It's definitely going to drop different loot than his LFR. Probably the cool items are no longer going to be available from LFR. I would say that with a little bit of positivity, that the cool stuff, people were just going, oh, tier items, tier items. I don't care about the tier items particularly. A lot of people are kind of take tier items for granted right now. Maybe in the future we can get away from that. But your cool items, like your Saofang trinkets, all these things that are pretty cool, turn you into giant trolls, they're going to be Flexi raiding up. LFR probably ain't going to drop that kind of shit no more. You'll get your gloves of the beast and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, trinks, weps. I can't imagine they're going to drop weapons from LFR, but the cool weapons probably going to be Flexi raiding up. Just to give that incentive. That wonderful incentive to go and through that. I just hope it turns out a lot of 10-man guilds into 25 by merging 2 10-man guilds in a Flexi raid. I think that's step 2. Let's look at this as step 1, right? Let's do something about these players who are really bad at the game. It's not their fault. Probably got good potential to stick around if they can enjoy a good raid kill, right? All these kind of things. This is step 1, to drag them out of the mire. To drag them out of the mud and the crap that they're living in WoW, which is the subbing and unsubbing. Can you blame anybody for unsubbing if you're stuck in one of these guilds? No. To drag them out of that. Step 2 will be trying to move them up to 25-man normal mode guilds and reinvigorating that. That would be really cool. May encourage people to go 25 from 10. Yeah, that's a definite point. That's a definite point. Let's not undermine the idea here that a 10-man normal might have a lot of friends. Okay, they might have a lot of friends. They're not shared to a lockout. Very clever. People moaning about there not being by not having a shared lockout. Super clever. Remarkably clever. Why? Because there is no excuse not to get a bunch more buddies and go ahead and start doing a little bit of Flexi raid. Maybe get that piece of loot that you've been waiting for, that set bonus, whatever it might be. Oh, you know what? Raiding with like 20 odd people was a shitload of fun. 20 people, 23 people who were having good fun, talking on vent. That was a blast. We should go 25 man. Of course that's the possibility, right? Of course that is one of the incentives of this. Not that they're saying it, but that is definitely one of the incentives, and I really like that. I don't want the loot to be viable from Flexi or LFR. I don't want 5.4 to be the Trial of Crusader 2.0. It's one of the things that I don't think people should really care about too much. Loot doesn't mean a whole lot to anybody. Loot is the only carrot, the only incentive to do stuff. If you take the loot away too soon, excuses. If you take loot away too soon, nobody's going to even try it. Nobody's going to do anything. Why are they Throne of Thunder dailies? All right, because they shower you in stuff, right? They're still dailies at the end of the day. If they didn't shower you in rewards, they'd be shit. But you really can't take away the loot too soon. I don't think it bothers anybody either. I don't think loot should bother anybody too much. If some guy's got a load of loot that sucks, do you care? Not really. You shouldn't do anyway. I don't think so. Flexi raid should expand to 40. In my dreams. Why don't they make it so the max raid size could be 40 man? Again, same question. Gaming's too much for guilds. Yeah, gaming's a lot. Too much. It's the only incentive. There is nothing else. That's why LFR exists. People aren't going there to see the content. They're going for drops. That's the problem with LFR. You're not going to see what the raids are like and to experience it. You're going for loot. People are actively gearing up in LFR. Including my alts. Don't get me wrong. My alts go in there and do it all the time. But I kind of that. Flexi won't encourage normal mode raiding. It will hurt it. There is a chance. There's a chance that will happen. But it won't happen to guilds who know better. And I'm kind of okay with that. I see where you're coming from. You're coming from the angle that a 10-man normal mode guild who struggles, definitely, will opt to take the easier option of doing slightly less difficulty that requires better loot. I would suspect, though, that that is a guild that is incredibly hampered by either people not trying or people who are greedy and just raiding for loot. You're never really going to get very far with a guild that's very populated with loot-hungry people. You can have a few loot-hungry people, that's fine, as long as they pull the weight. But a lot of people don't care that much, especially the higher up you get. It's just the item that you need for the next boss. The 10-man guilds that will be hurt by this, in my opinion, will be the guilds that are probably still not capable of probably clearing something like Mogasham Vaults normal, even with all the extra gear and loot that's thrown at them, and are not interested in doing better play, and therefore will look to an easier option, and maybe just the flexible hours is better. Their good players can't log on till 5 in the morning or something crazy like that. That might hurt them, but in doing so, they'll probably draw in more players and find better players, and then adversely actually bring them up into better guilds. I think it was only, without being too harsh, the really bad 10-mans who will be hurt by this. And I only say 10-man because, of course, 25-man normal raiding doesn't exist in WoW right now. It's not that I'm picking on 10-mans. 25-man normal raids just do not exist right now. I've only ever wanted One Piece. Okay, that's about loot. Yeah, E3 is starting shortly. I think in 1 hour E3 is starting. I'm very optimistic. It's been a good day. It's been a good day. And I hope this is good. We should be optimistic. We should always be optimistic. Let's see the potential possibilities. The downsides of Flexi raids, let's talk about the cons. What could happen here? What could happen is there's a cool item in there. I kind of brought this up yesterday on the podcast. There's a cool item that everybody wants. In ICC, it was the Sourfang trinket, or the Bryn Troll, or the Bryn Toll, or whatever it was called. That weapon. So a lot of people would make heroic pugs to kill things like, I forget his name, the Whirling Bone Monster. I think it begins with M. To kill him, and then I'll leave the raid. They just want their cool item. Those aren't people you want to raid with anyway. The good thing about Flexi raid is you have to be invited. Okay? You have to be invited. So if people are creating pugs in order to go to Flexi raid to get their cool item, maybe we'll see the whole item reserved thing coming on. Then when those people are actually actively going to be blacklisted on your server, that's a good thing because it's a community again. You got your bad guys, you got your good guys. It will start weeding those people out. Everybody used to see the messages, don't join that pug, he just ninjas and he leaves if he doesn't get his item, that kind of thing. I did bring up yesterday that this actively encourages the training and practice of raid leaders. Fucking love that. We have so few people who are prepared to raid lead or even capable of doing it. A lot of people pretending to be raid leaders and literally just do invites and call it a day. This is so cool. This is so cool. I really like that. No, you can't ninja loot either, which is pretty good. Oh, of course, you can't reserve items. My bad. My bad. It's the personal loot system. How do you think Blizzard will improve the raiding system for the next expansion? My gut feeling is that LFR is going to be gutted in some fashion to the point, again, like I said earlier, where it won't be actually worth running unless it is an alt and you have some free time. I would like to see that. I would like to see the general opinion of LFR as not being worth it. I think that would be good. I would like to see a lot of Flexi raids being started. I would like to see a definite... in the future, not right now. This is the trial process. This is where we're trying to encourage people to try it out, okay? So this is the stuff in the future. I would certainly like to see either a loot incentive or some other incentive to running Flexi raids over LFR for people to put them together, and for regular pugs, which then leads to guilds to start in the future. Either more loot in general, there's just a higher number of drops if you've got more people. So it's worthwhile doing sort of 20-man plus Flexi raids. I would love to see that. And normal heroic should stay about where they are. Why don't they just make it so when you first ding max level you can do heroics or LFR and then you're on the same level? That's neither here nor there. I don't think it affects much. It's always nice to reach certain levels. My next projected videos, that's coming up tomorrow. It should be okay. Back at TV series, the whispers going around Blizzard would make a spectator system to help people sitting out on progress nights learn the fights. Do you think this will ever be made? Not since streaming has come lines. No, I really don't. They can't invade the privacy of raiders, so some guilds could activate spectator mode if they wish, but since streaming is out, streaming is so much better than spectator mode. You can actively ask, depending on the caster, you can ask the caster questions, you can discuss aspects of classes. Streaming kind of replaces that, which is pretty cool. Pure server Flexi raids will cause looking for more Flexi raid link achievement. That is a problem with the players. Blizzard can't do anything about that. Blizzard can't stop people asking for gear score, item level, achievement, whatever it might be. They can't stop people doing that. They can't stop that happening. No matter what you do, you can't stop the mentality of dickheads. You can't stop assholes. Assholes will be assholes regardless of what you stick in it, right? I can stick whatever I want on my ass. It's still an asshole. That can't be stopped. What they can do is give you choice. And good people coming up and stepping up and running these regularly and that kind of thing. That would be much better, but you can't stop people being dicks. Yo, Daisley. What are we doing? Where do you think balanced druids stand on DPS? Fine. Really good. In fact, they're high. 100 man rating. Any more questions before we call it a day? Everyone seems to have gone AWOL on me. Time to go on the hunt. Yeah, running groups. It's good to see those raid leaders. I really hope some good raid leaders pop up. They're out there. They just probably never had the practice. And people are now afraid of jumping into normal mode as a raid leader. I've seen some people try and raid lead LFR. No. But Flexi Raid's a great opportunity for them. That's one of the big things about it. Overall, I love the system. Hopefully we're going to see this information develop over the next next coming weeks. It's going to be trialed on the PTR. I will make an extra effort to get on the PTR and lead some Flexi Raids. Why not? If Flexi Raids open for the brand new tier and you're looking to go and see the new content on the PTR, if you've never raided the PTR before, or if you're desperately trying to try a class that you can't be arsed leveling, you won't be invited. I will say, I fucking hate you people. If we can do it on the PTR, I will endeavour to organise something, because I can play with the Americans as well. How awesome is that? I can play with the Americans as well. Before you start, personal loot system preventing people from learning how to deal with loot. The personal loot system is, again, arseholes caused it. We caused it. The personal loot system is better than what we had. You might not like it because you expect... A lot of people who complain about loot, especially in LFR, expect loot on every kill. What world are you in where you expect an item every single time you kill something? No, that doesn't work. Personal loot is we caused it. I was part of the problem as well. People, if I went into a raid on one of my tunes called Preaching the Dragon Soul, people would actively be needing on gear they didn't need and trade it me. I wasn't going to say no, so I was a part of the problem as well. And we brought it ourselves. The system solves more problems than it causes. It causes a lot more problems than it solves. No heroic dungeon queues and bring back the progression 5-mans. The 5-mans, were they difficulty? Were the 5-mans a difficulty? That's probably a subject for another daily. Well, I have considered why 5-mans were toned down so much. Was Cataclysm that hard? It's hard for me to say because I didn't find them hard, but I didn't expect to either. I've never really struggled with 5-mans for a long, long time. People found them really hard. I didn't, but it's hard for me to go. I would be a little bit rose tinted on that. A little bit rose tinted on that. I think certain heroics are always going to be harder. Of course, the classics, the Stone Core. People couldn't handle the Stone Core. I could press interrupt, so I didn't have a problem. But I wasn't a new player. I wasn't bred in the society where I didn't have to do much to get what I wanted, and therefore I was like, it was a little bit easy for me. But it's a subject for another daily. I'll leave you with that. Let's see some more discussion on the YouTube channel. I absolutely love to see your thoughts, ideas regarding Flexi Raid. We haven't really put anything on the channel about it, so hopefully this will be the starter. And for anyone else, have a great day, guys. Remember, from Monday, I'll announce it every single day. From Monday, the daily will be moving 1 hour later. I was going to say forward, but no. 1 hour later, till 5 p.m. GMT. Is any Americans in the chat? What time is 5 p.m. GMT in America? And any Australians and anyone else? Most of Europe can usually work it out from UK time. Anybody else? Anybody? Before we go, come on, you Americans. 9 a.m. Arizona time. 10. Don't just say a number. 10. 11 a.m. CS Central Standard Time. 12 East. Yeah, and 6 p.m. European time. Okay, so I'll call it out every day. Apparently, it's at 10. Wherever you are in the world, it's at 10. Maybe Mr. Ghost. Maybe Mr. Ghost. Let me see how Emma is feeling. Let me see how Emma is feeling. Again, I really apologize. I have to drop the gaming. It's a tough time. There's a lot going on. As you know, we've had deaths and stuff, and Emma's not been feeling particularly well. A big thank you to Ghosty, actually, for cooking us dinner yesterday. Took the time out of his day to not only purchase meats, but fire at the barbecue and cook for us. I can only thank you immensely. It was a great day. Take it easy, guys. I will see you tomorrow. And there is a video releasing right about now. Should you roll a Shadow Priest? Maybe you should. Bye, guys.